The Silent Watcher's captain, Elena Vasquez, pressed her palm against the cool metal of the observation deck's viewport, watching stars streak past as the Prometheus dawn cut through the void between systems. 300 years of human space exploration, 47 colonized systems, and not once had they encountered another intelligent species. The universe seemed vast and empty, filled with resources and worlds but devoid of the cosmic neighbors humanity had always dreamed of meeting. The bridge comm crackled to life behind her. "Captain, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from the Kepler 442 system. Nothing in our databases matches this pattern." Lieutenant Commander Sarah Park's voice carried the excitement of a discovery that might finally break the monotony of routine exploration missions. Elena turned from the viewport and strode toward the bridge, her boots clicking against the deck plating with practiced rhythm. The Prometheus Dawn was humanity's most advanced deep space vessel, equipped with quantum sensors and fusion drives that could push them to nearly 15% of light speed. Yet for all their technology, the galaxy had remained stubbornly silent. "Show me what we've got, Park." Elena settled into the command chair as holographic displays materialized around her. The energy readings were unlike anything in human scientific records. The patterns were too organized to be natural phenomena, too complex to be simple technology. They pulsed with mathematical precision that suggested intelligence, purpose, and most unsettling of all, patience. "Captain, I'm reading massive structures in the outer system. They're hidden behind gravitational lensing fields, but our new quantum scanners are picking up artificial geometries. These things are enormous, possibly the size of small moons." Chief Science Officer Dr. James Morrison leaned over his console, fingers dancing across controls as he refined the readings. Elena felt her pulse quicken. After centuries of silence, humanity might finally have found what they'd been searching for. "Set course for the energy source. All departments prepare for possible first contact protocols." The journey to the outer system took 18 hours. As they approached, the gravitational lensing fields gradually revealed themselves, and what they concealed left the entire crew speechless. Crystalline structures the size of cities floated in perfect formation around the system's edge. Each structure hummed with energy, creating a barrier that encompassed the entire solar system like a cage made of light and force. "We're being scanned," reported Communications Officer Lisa Chen. "Multiple sources, incredible detail. They're mapping everything down to our molecular structure." Before Elena could respond, space itself seemed to fold. 3 ships materialized before the Prometheus dawn, their design elegant and utterly alien. They moved without visible propulsion, their hulls shifting between translucent and opaque as if they existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The communication came not through their radio systems but directly into their minds, words forming in perfect, unaccented English. "Greetings, humans of the vessel Prometheus Dawn. We are the Zephyrian Collective. We have been waiting for this moment." Elena found her voice despite the unprecedented nature of the contact. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Terran Exploration Corps. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship among the stars." "We know why you come, Captain Vasquez. We have watched your species for over 300 of your years. We have guided your expansion, limited your discoveries, and protected you from knowledge you were not ready to possess." The bridge fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. Elena felt a chill that had nothing to do with the ship's temperature. "What do you mean, limited our discoveries?" The alien response carried what might have been amusement. "Your scientists often wondered why certain star systems seemed empty, despite showing signs of habitability, why your deep space probes occasionally malfunctioned in specific regions, why your quantum communications experienced interference in particular patterns. We have been shepherding your growth, Captain, ensuring you developed in isolation until you reached sufficient maturity." Dr. Morrison stepped forward, his face pale with realization. "You've been hiding other civilizations from us. The universe isn't empty. You've been making it appear empty." "Correct, Dr. Morrison. The galaxy contains over 47,000 intelligent species across 12 major alliances and countless independent worlds. Your species has been developing in what you might call a nursery, protected from influences that could have proved destructive to your unique evolutionary path." Elena's hands clenched into fists. You had no right. We could have learned, grown, contributed to this galactic community centuries ago. Perhaps. Or perhaps you would have been absorbed, dominated, or destroyed by forces beyond your comprehension. Your species displays remarkable traits, Captain. Creativity that borders on recklessness, innovation born from desperation, and a refusal to accept limitations that other species find disturbing. These qualities make you valuable but also dangerous. The lead Zephyrian vessel moved closer, its crystalline hull reflecting the stars in patterns that seemed to shift with meaning. We bring you to a crossroads, humans. You have reached the boundaries of your nursery. You may choose to remain within your current 47 systems, accepting the resources and protection we provide, developing your civilization in safety and isolation. Or you may choose to join the greater galaxy, with all its wonders and perils. Elena felt the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. This decision would affect not just her crew, but the entire future of humanity. And if we choose to join the galaxy, then you must prove yourselves worthy. The galaxy has rules, hierarchies, established orders that have maintained peace for millennia. Your species would need to accept guidance, limitations, and oversight until you demonstrate the wisdom to act responsibly among your cosmic neighbors. Lieutenant Commander Park spoke up from her station. What kind of limitations? Your expansion would be restricted to systems we designate. Your technology development would be monitored and controlled. Your contact with other species would be mediated through approved channels. You would essentially become a protected species under Zephyrian guidance. Elena looked around the bridge at her crew. She saw the same fire in their eyes that had driven humanity to the stars despite impossible odds. The same stubborn refusal to accept boundaries that had pushed them from their homeworld to 47 systems across hundreds of light years. And our third option? Elena asked quietly. The mental voice that responded carried a note of surprise. Third option, Captain? Elena stood, her posture straight and defiant despite facing beings whose technology dwarfed humanity's greatest achievements. You're offering us a cage or a leash. Those aren't the only choices. We reject both. The alien ship seemed to pulse with agitation. Captain, you do not understand the forces at work in the galaxy. There are species that consume worlds, empires that span thousands of systems, beings of such power that they reshape reality itself. Without protection and guidance, humanity would face extinction within decades. Maybe, Elena replied, her voice carrying across the bridge with absolute certainty, but we'd face it as free beings making our own choices. You say our species is creative and refuses to accept limitations. You're right. We've spent 3 centuries pushing into the unknown, despite every obstacle the universe threw at us. We've survived ice ages, wars, plagues, and the journey between the stars. She stepped closer to the main display showing the alien vessels. So here's humanity's answer to your ultimatum, to your protection and to your guidance. Perish. The word hung in the space between ships like a challenge thrown down before gods. The alien response came immediately, tinged with what might have been shock. Captain, surely you cannot mean— I mean exactly what I said. We choose neither safety nor servitude. We choose freedom with all its risks and consequences. If that leads to our destruction, then at least we'll meet our end as free beings who refuse to live in a cage, no matter how gilded it might be. The Zephyrian ships began to move, forming a more aggressive formation around the Prometheus Dawn. Captain Vasquez, you are condemning your entire species based on pride and ignorance. I'm giving my species the same choice every human generation has made, the freedom to succeed or fail on our own terms. You can destroy us. You can try to cage us. But you cannot make us accept limitations we haven't chosen for ourselves. Elena turned to her crew. Send a quantum burst transmission to Earth Command. Full data packet on everything we've discovered here. Tell them we've found our cosmic neighbors and our answer to their ultimatum. She paused, looking once more at the alien vessels surrounding them. Tell them we choose freedom. The transmission launched into hyperspace, carrying humanity's defiant message across the void to their homeworlds. Whatever came next, Elena knew that her species would face it with their eyes open and their dignity intact. The Zephyrian response came not in words but in action. The crystalline barriers around the system began to pulse with new energy, and space itself seemed to thicken around the human vessel. Very well, Captain Vasquez. You have chosen your path. Now you will live with its consequences. As the alien ships prepared to implement whatever punishment they had planned, Elena felt no regret. She had spoken for all humanity, and she had spoken true to the spirit that had carried them from Earth to the stars. Whatever happened next, they would meet it as free beings who had chosen their own destiny. Part 2. The Price of Defiance. Admiral Marcus Chen stood in the command center of Luna Station, watching tactical displays that showed the impossible. The 72 hours since Captain Vasquez's transmission had reached Earth, humanity's worst fears and greatest hopes had been simultaneously realized. They were not alone in the universe, but they had also chosen to defy beings whose power made human civilization look like children playing with sticks. Admiral, we're receiving reports from all frontier colonies, reported Colonel Sarah Martinez, her voice tight with controlled tension. The barriers have appeared around every human system simultaneously. We're completely cut off from interstellar travel. The displays showed the scale of humanity's prison. 47 star systems, each now surrounded by the same crystalline structures that had been discovered at Kepler 442. Energy readings suggested that attempting to breach these barriers would be like trying to punch through a star. The Zephyrians had made their point with devastating clarity. Humanity's rejection of their ultimatum came with consequences. What about quantum communications? Chen asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. Completely blocked. Every colony is isolated not just physically but informationally. The barriers are interfering with all forms of faster-than-light communication. Martinez pulled up communication logs showing failed connection attempts across human space. We're more isolated now than we were before we developed interstellar travel. Dr. Elizabeth Harper, Earth's chief xenobiologist, stepped forward with a datapad clutched in trembling hands. Admiral, we've been analyzing the barriers with every sensor we have. The energy patterns they're not just blocking us, they're studying us. Every ship that approaches, every probe we send, every attempt to communicate with the outside galaxy, they're gathering data on our technology, our responses, our capabilities. Chen felt the weight of command pressing down on him like the gravity of a collapsing star. 47 systems, over 3 billion human beings, all trapped because one captain had chosen defiance over submission. Part of him wondered if Vasquez had made the right choice. The larger part of him knew she had made the only choice a free species could make. What's the status of our research projects? Chen asked, turning to Dr. Rebecca Liu, director of Earth's Advanced Physics Institute. Liu's expression mixed exhaustion with desperate hope. We've been analyzing every piece of data from the Prometheus Dawn's encounter. The Zephyrian technology operates on principles we barely understand, but we're beginning to identify patterns. They manipulate spacetime itself, folding distances and creating what we might call pocket dimensions. Can we replicate it? Not in the conventional sense, but we might be able to work around it. There's a theoretical possibility that if we can't break through their barriers, we might be able to go under them. Chen raised an eyebrow. Explain. Dr. Liu activated a holographic display showing the structure of spacetime around the barriers. The Zephyrian technology creates walls in normal space, but there are deeper layers to reality. Quantum foam, 0 point, fluctuations, the spaces between spaces where the normal rules don't apply. If we could access those layers, we could tunnel under their barriers like mice in the walls, finished Dr. Harper, her eyes lighting up with understanding. Exactly. It would require technology we've never even attempted to build, power sources that push the boundaries of what's possible, and navigation systems that can operate in dimensions where cause and effect become suggestions rather than laws. Chen looked around the command center at the faces of humanity's brightest minds, all focused on a problem that seemed impossible by every rational measure. Yet he saw something in their expressions that the Zephyrians might not have expected. Not despair, but the kind of desperate creativity that had always driven human innovation. How long would it take? Working around the clock with every research facility in the system? Maybe 18 months for a prototype. 3 years for something that could carry a significant payload. You have 6 months, Chen said quietly. If we're going to break free, it has to be before they finish whatever study they're conducting on us. The next 6 months transformed human civilization in ways that would have been impossible under normal circumstances. Every scientific mind, every engineer, every technician worked toward a single goal: freedom from their cosmic cage. Resources that had been allocated to colony development, terraforming projects, and exploration were redirected to what became known as the Ghost Lane Project. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Tommy Nakamura, a quantum physicist working on Mars, discovered that the barriers had an unintended consequence. Their manipulation of space-time created tiny rifts in the quantum foam, microscopic tears that lasted only nanoseconds but provided glimpses into the deeper layers of reality. It's like they've given us a map, Nakamura explained during a secured transmission to Luna Station. Every barrier pulse creates navigation points in quantum space. We can use their own technology against them. The first prototype vessel was ugly, dangerous, and operating on principles that made every physicist involved question their understanding of reality. Named the Slipstream, it was barely large enough for a crew of 3 and equipped with experimental drives that had a 40% chance of either working perfectly or erasing the ship from existence entirely. Captain Maria Santos volunteered for the test flight despite the odds. Someone has to be first, she said simply. Might as well be someone who's not afraid of bad odds. The test launch took place from a hidden facility in the asteroid belt, far from Earth, where its failure wouldn't endanger the home world. As the Slipstream activated its quantum tunneling drives, space around it seemed to fold inward like origami made of light and shadow. For a terrifying moment, nothing happened. Then the ship simply wasn't there anymore, vanished into dimensions that existed between the spaces humans normally occupied. 12 hours later, the Slipstream emerged in the Alpha Centauri system, inside the barriers but having traveled through spaces the Zephyrians couldn't monitor or control. Ghost Lane Protocol confirmed, came Santos's triumphant transmission. We can move through their cage like it's not even there. The success of the Slipstream prototype triggered the largest coordinated effort in human history. Every colony, every station, every ship capable of modification was equipped with quantum tunneling drives. The plan was audacious in its simplicity. Every human vessel would activate their Ghost Lane drives simultaneously, emerging in systems throughout the galaxy before the Zephyrians could react. Admiral Chen stood once again in Luna Station's command center, watching countdown timers from across human space. 47 systems, over 3,000 vessels, all preparing to make humanity's second great leap into the unknown. All stations report ready, Colonel Martinez announced. Ghost Lane drives are charged and synchronized. This is it, Chen said, opening a channel to every human settlement, every ship, every soul trapped behind alien barriers. This is Admiral Chen to all human forces. Today we prove that no cage can hold a species that refuses to be caged. Today, we show the galaxy that humanity chooses freedom over safety, uncertainty over submission. He paused, thinking of Captain Vasquez and her defiant message that had started this entire chain of events. Execute Ghost Lane Protocol. All vessels, punch through. Space itself seemed to ripple as 3,000 human ships simultaneously tore holes in reality and dove through dimensions that existed outside normal space-time. The barriers that had contained humanity for 6 months suddenly became irrelevant as human vessels emerged in systems across the galaxy, their appearance as shocking to the cosmic community as it was to the Zephyrians who had thought them safely contained. The first response came from the Zephyrian collective, their mental communication reaching every human vessel simultaneously. Impossible. Your species lacks the dimensional understanding necessary for quantum tunneling navigation. Admiral Chen's response was broadcast from his flagship as it emerged in the heart of Zephyrian space, surrounded by their crystalline cities but no longer trapped by their technology. You underestimated us. You thought we were children who needed protection or guidance. You were wrong. We're survivors, innovators, and explorers who refuse to accept the limitations others place on us. The Zephyrian fleet moved to intercept the human vessels, but they faced a problem they had never encountered before. Humanity's ships could slip in and out of normal space at will, making them impossible to catch or contain using conventional technology. Your defiance will lead to chaos. The Zephyrian communication continued. Other species will see your rejection of guidance as permission to ignore the established order. The galaxy will descend into warfare and destruction. Maybe, Chen replied, or maybe the galaxy needs to remember what it means to choose freedom over security. You've been managing, controlling, and limiting species for so long you've forgotten that growth comes from facing challenges, not from being protected from them. The standoff continued for days, human ships darting through ghost lane space while Zephyrian forces tried desperately to develop countermeasures. But the breakthrough came not from technology but from an unexpected source, other species who had been watching the confrontation. The communication came from the Alterian Republic, one of the galaxy's oldest civilizations. Humans of Earth, we have observed your defiance with great interest. It has been millennia since any species chose freedom over the safety offered by the collective. We formally request diplomatic contact. Then came the Vorthon Empire. The humans demonstrate courage worthy of respect. We extend an invitation to establish relations. Soon, dozens of species were reaching out to humanity, many admitting they had grown tired of Zephyrian oversight, but had never dared to challenge it themselves. Humanity's desperate gamble had opened doors that had been closed for thousands of years. The Zephyrian collective found themselves facing not just human defiance, but a galactic reevaluation of their role as protectors and guides. Their final message to humanity carried a tone of grudging respect. You have chosen a dangerous path, humans. But perhaps the galaxy has grown too comfortable with safety. Your species will either inspire growth or cause destruction. We withdraw our barriers and our oversight. The choice of your fate now rests with you and your new allies. As the crystalline barriers around human space dissolved, Admiral Chen received a final transmission from Captain Vasquez aboard the Prometheus Dawn. Admiral, we're receiving welcoming signals from 17 different species. Looks like our message got through loud and clear. Chen smiled as he looked at the star charts now showing not empty space but a galaxy full of neighbors, potential allies, and new frontiers to explore. Indeed it did, Captain. Indeed it did. Humanity had chosen to perish rather than live in a cage. And in doing so they had discovered that sometimes the greatest victories come not from accepting what seems possible, but from refusing to accept what others claim is inevitable. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would humanity. They had finally found their place among the stars, not as protected children, but as free beings who had earned their freedom through courage, innovation, and an absolute refusal to surrender their right to choose their own destiny.